Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining our 4th Entrepreneur Bootcamp webinar. And this is the Legitimizing Your Business. And our guest speaker is Lorraine D'Alicio. So it looks like while waiting, I'd like to share some information about our chamber. So for those who are interacting with our chamber for the first time, we have been established 2001, so we are 21 years old. We have about 125 to 150 members, and we have various strategic partners from nonprofit organizations providing access to capital, workshops, advocacies, and also local and Philippine government offices, as well as other chambers of commerce and the media. Our mission is to promote, cultivate, connect, and empower the Filipino-American community and its allies for business development in Greater LA. Our vision is to be the leading catalyst for the prosperity of businesses that share the values of the Filipino-American community. Our core value: excellence, innovation, entrepreneurial spirit, diversity, community outreach, integrity, sustainability, education, accessibility, and collaboration. So thanks again for those who are joining us. So our chamber, we have our executive team, which includes myself, Celeste Mondarin, our VP for Marketing, David Baines, our VP for Membership, Miko Palon, our VP for Events is here, Fiji Victoriano, our secretary and our programs director. She's helping put together this entrepreneur bootcamp, inviting all of our amazing speakers, our treasurer, Henry Chen. And our board members, Linus Ebe, who's here, Gemma Bergstrom, Rosalind Arshaga, who joined us earlier, Kathy Current, Reddy Babasa Thompson, Joseph Sarmento, Vivian Lim. So if you have interacted with these board members, feel free to reach out. And I also would like to acknowledge our past president, our president emeritus, Miss Annie Nepomuceno, is joining us today. Thank you, Annie, our beloved pandemic president. Thanks for joining. And next is, so these workshops would not have been possible without our partnership with National ACE. So National ACE aims to advance Asian American and Pacific Islander business owners. And next. To provide a unified voice for business interests of 2.65 million AAPI small business owners in the United States. National ACE seeks to improve the economic, political, and social well-being of AAPIs by advocating for their business interests nationally, promoting issues that impact the small business community, improving economic development, advancing coalitions, enhancing community building, and fostering the next generation of AAPI entrepreneurs and executives. So as I mentioned, this is a 14-part series. So if you look at this calendar, this is our tentative dates and topics. Feel free to check our calendar of events as we are, we have some dates set up already, but this is, we'll finalize as soon as we have our speaker lined up for you all. And our graduation is November 16th. So I'd like to thank our event sponsor for the day, tycoonlands.com, the website builder for every entrepreneur, and our logo sponsor, Woods Insurance Services. So I'd like to invite our event sponsor to say a couple of words, and also our logo sponsor. Go ahead, Miko.
Sure. Thanks, Lois. Good evening, everyone. So once again, my name is Miko Palan, and I'm the Vice President of Events for the Filipino American Chamber of Commerce in Greater Los Angeles. And in the spirit of empowering my fellow entrepreneurs and small business owners, my website building company, tycoonlands.com, is later on triviaing away a free business landing page so your company can have its very own home on the web. So just a little bit about my company. We specialize in building websites, developing apps, graphics design, organizing events, and social media management. Um, and on the next slide, if there's a next slide for some samples. Okay, no, never mind. It's okay. It's probably later on in the slides, but there's gonna be if you go to yes, that slide over there. Thank you. Yes. Okay. So there's a bunch of QR codes where you can check out some of our projects just by scanning the QR code on your phone. The main website, tycoonlands.com, it's also on the lower left corner. On the right side are three of our top projects involving the chamber, and I hope to help you out soon with your business website and other digital marketing needs. Thank you.
Thank you, Miko. And Andre Woods, if you'd like to say a couple of words, please unmute yourself.
Sure. How much time do I have? 2 minutes or
No.
just thought I would check in case
Yes,
I get
but
crazy.
thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Anyway, hello everyone. My name is Andre Woods, the president of Woods Insurance Services. I'm an insurance broker. I represent most insurance products, specializing in commercial insurance, but most of us here are a small to mid-sized business. And what I can do is help you find the right plan and program at the right cost for your business. So we do everything uh, uh, from real estate agent to a grocery store to a shoe store and or workers' comp, general liability, and more. So if you have any questions, my website is andrewoodsinsurance.com. Just that simple. Thank you for your time. And also a former board member.
Yes. Thank you so much, Andre, for your service. And Andre has been wonderful in serving our community. So the Filipino American Chamber of Commerce is welcome and open to everyone, even though you're not Filipino, as long as you love eating Filipino food and hanging out with your fellow Filipino brothers and sisters here. So you're
I'm
welcome.
not Filipino yet.
Not yet. Getting there. Thank you, Andre. And next is okay. Let's talk about our membership. Is our VP for membership available?
Yeah,
And
I can talk. Can you hear me?
yes, go
Hi,
ahead.
good evening, everyone. Thank you all for joining tonight. My name is David Baines. I'm the Vice President of Membership for the Filipino American Chamber of Commerce. So if you're looking to grow your network, come chat with me. Join FACC GLA. Our individual membership is $150 and our corporate membership is $300. So if you're looking to expand your network, join us at FACC GLA. I'm going to leave my contact information on the chat. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And we're gonna put here on the chat box as well if you'd like to sign up. And in terms of perks and benefits, I see our VP for marketing, Celeste Mondarin. Are you available?
Yeah, I'm here. Just couldn't turn my video on. Sorry, multitasking. But hello, everyone, and we're very much excited to have you tonight for another series of our webinar. So this is one of the many perks and benefits of being a member of the chamber. You get access to this wonderful, insightful events. Also, when you scan the QR code on your screen, you'll be able to see more of the perks and benefits. Basically, we act as your conduit to different organizations, different resources out there. so that you can promote your businesses, your network, and also you are able to connect with same-minded people, business owners like yourselves. So feel free to scan that code and find out more about our perks and benefits. There you have it, Louis.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Celeste. Really appreciate it. And up next is our events and announcements. So I'm going to call back our VP for events, Miko Palon.
Yes, thanks, Lois. I'm back. So just a quick announcement on our upcoming events. So our next in the series would be our entrepreneurship bootcamp series, Access to Capital Part 1. It's going to be a 2-part thing. So looking forward to that. Also on the 21st of September, we will have our Intro to Accounting, Accounting 101. And then on the 12th of September, we have our big event. It's the annual golf tournament. That's going to be at Porter Valley Country Club. So please, if you are available and have a nice golf swing or are still working on it, we'd love to see you there. And if you'd like to also network, we have a lot of nice networking opportunities. Even if you don't play golf, there will be a lot of really good networks and business people that you can meet at our event on September 12th. So please scan that QR code for more details and to register. Thank you.
Hi there, this is Lois Claver, President of the Filipino American Chamber of Commerce of Greater Los Angeles. We invite everyone to the JG Group of Companies annual golf tournament in partnership with FACC JLA on September 12th from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Porter Valley Country Club in Northridge, California. We are raising funds for our selected beneficiaries, St. Vincent Meals on Wheels, the JIR Foundation, and the Chamber's Entrepreneur Empowerment Program. Sign up as a sponsor, bring your colleagues, and play a foursome. For non-players, you are welcome to enjoy networking lunch with live barbecue. Please join us September 12th for our golf. So we're open for golf players. If you just wanted to do the networking lunch, feel free to do so. We have sponsorships available. So up next is, I'd like to introduce our speaker. Our speaker's here. Awesome. I see our beautiful speaker here. So let me introduce the CEO and founder of D'Alessio Law Group. Lorraine D'Alessio was nominated as 2017 Leader in Law by the Los Angeles Business Journal and is the recipient of the 2018 Enterprising Woman Award. Recently, Lorraine was appointed to the board of directors at American International Holdings Corporation through the prestigious academic institution, the University of Toronto, and has been selected as a rising star on Super Lawyers each year for the past 5 years. A former Ford model turned legal powerhouse, Lorraine is a multi-award winning entertainment expert who regularly contributes to Forbes, The Hollywood Reporter, Los Angeles Times, Variety, Playback, and other renowned publications, and is undergoing a highly sought after certification to be recognized by the city of Los Angeles as one of the top women-led business enterprises. Lorraine has provided counsel and advice to U.S. embassies across Canada, the Maple Business Council, World Trade Center, as well as UBCP National and various national branches of labor unions, including ACTRA. Lorraine has also provided counsel to hundreds of prominent entertainment agencies, unions, private companies, and academic institutions, including New York Film Academy, Next Models, Food Network, Subpack, Pepperdine University, Plug and Play, Expert Dojo, and 500 Startups. Wow, we have a heavy hitter here. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a very, very warm welcome to our beautiful and brilliant guest speaker, Miss Attorney Lorraine D'Alicio. You have the
Woohoo! Go Lorraine!
Okay, you're on mute.
Thank you so very much for having me. It is a true honor. I've been so excited about today and to get a chance to tell you a little bit more about what I do and give you guys some really good information that I think will help you all about legitimizing your business. So I know we're limited on time, and I want to thank you all for again having me, and I'm just going to jump right in then. All right, so I'm really, really happy to be talking on this topic because I think there's a lot of myths out there that, that there's all these like blockades to people setting up their own businesses or, really, hanging that shingle out there. And there can be folks out there that are, quite kind of doomsayers or putting out a lot of negative energy to people that have a great idea, great concept, put that into a business plan and a budget and want to move on it. So those kind of people inspire me in my life. And I love to surround myself with hustlers. I love to surround myself with people that are willing to and happy to get out there and make a difference in the industries that they are inspired to operate in. So, and I just love the entrepreneurial spirit. That's not to say that I'm also not inspired by those that are key cornerstones in being a part of those businesses, but I have to say that the entrepreneurialism has a special place in my heart. And I'll never forget, over a decade ago when I started out, and I actually learned everything I know from a mentor who had been practicing for some 37 years. But he was just very much like, get out there and start setting your stuff up. And he was like, gosh, you're bringing in a lot of business. So I think, great lawyer, let's go for it. So anyway, so let's jump into choosing the right business type for your SMB, your small business. And, whether you're a business owner in a number of industries, from restaurant chains, retail, fashion, automobile, tech, healthcare, and other fields, really determining the right type of business for you is absolutely critical in legitimizing your business. So when making the decision to then open a small business, is also to consider really the location, how it will affect taxes, zoning laws, and regulations. So you're able to really make those strategic decisions. I'll never forget, when I was, I inherited a portion of this practice, but at the same time, it was also kind of my own baby. So I was trying to determine, do I go Century City? Do I do Beverly Hills? Do I do Venice? And, I was looking at a lot of different areas of Los Angeles as sort of the headquarters. And there are a lot of factors to consider that. And I think that if I only wish that someone had given me a presentation like this at that time, but here we go. So here I am for you. There's also, you want to be thinking about whether it would make the most sense to be setting up a sole proprietorship that is, easier to form and provides really control of the business. I think that a lot of people start off this way, as they're kind of growing and starting out. It might just be just you at first. It's you're automatically really considered to be a sole proprietorship if you do business activities but don't register as any other kind of business. So it doesn't produce a separate business entity. And that really means that your business has assets and liabilities, that are separate from your personal assets and liabilities. So you can be held personally for the debts and obligations of the business as a sole proprietor. So you do want to take that in consideration, but it definitely is the way that a lot of people start out. Sole proprietors can still get a trade name. It can also be hard, though, as a sole proprietor to really raise money because you can't sell stock, and banks are really hesitant often to lend to sole proprietors. And it can be a good choice for a low risk business and owner who want to test their business idea before forming a more formal business. So just think sole proprietor, no registration or formal formation that's actually required. It comes with the greatest risk on the other side for the business owner personally. And that is really only advised at the beginning of your business. Once you have contracts or employees, at that point you need to be thinking about incorporating. So that's sole proprietors. Partnerships. This is your LLP and your LP. It's really the simplest structure for 2 or more people to own a business together. A good choice for businesses with multiple owners, professional groups, etc. You can have one general partner with an unlimited liability and all other partners that have limited liability. And the partners with limited liability also tend to have limited control over the company, which is documented in a partnership agreement. The profits are then passed through to personal tax returns and the general partner. The partner without limited liability must also pay self-employment taxes. So limited liability partnerships are similar to limited partnerships, but give limited liability to every owner. An LLP protects each partner from debts against the partnership, and they won't be responsible for the actions of other partners. So partnerships, as per sole proprietorships, can really be a good choice for a business with multiple owners, professional groups like attorneys, and groups who want to test their business idea before forming a more formal business. Partnership agreement is really required. And it can be difficult, just to step away for a second, it can be really difficult when you have a great partner and especially a wonderful idea on the table, especially at the beginning, to say, okay, let's slow down and let's sit down and let's start writing out some points. Let's start writing out our LOI. And that is, you would think, okay, that might not be that hard, but for a lot of people, it can be hard to kind of go, okay, let's put down to paper what we're going to agree on here, and for all activities of the partners. So, that's really the starting point right there. It can be awkward, but really important. From that point on, further, it can then be converted to a corporation or an LLC, after the partnership is fully set up and operating, and it makes sense to then do so. So the next type of company I want to talk about is is a limited liability company. So this is the LLC. It allows you to really take advantage of the benefits of both a corporation and a partnership structure. It protects you from personal liabilities. And it's quite popular. It protects you from personal liability, and in most instances, your personal assets like a vehicle, your house, savings accounts. It won't be at risk in case your LLC faces bankruptcy or lawsuits. The profits and losses can get passed through to your personal income without facing corporate taxes. However, members of an LLC are considered self-employed and must pay self-employment tax contributions toward Medicare and Social Security. LLCs can have a limited life in many states. So when a member joins or leaves an LLC, most states may require the LLC to be dissolved and reformed with new membership, unless there's already an agreement in place within the LLC for buying, selling, and transferring ownership. So then, as a takeaway here, LLCs can be a good choice for a medium or higher risk business and owners with significant personal assets that they would want protected, and owners who would want to pay a lower tax rate than they would with a corporation. So you just want to keep that in mind as well. The fourth type of business I want to talk about is cooperative. This is really businesses and organizations that's owned and operated by for the benefit of those using its services. And we see with the cooperative, the profits and earnings that are generated by the cooperative are then distributed among the members, and also known as user owners. Typically, an elected board of directors and officers run the cooperative, while regular members have voting power to control the direction of the cooperative. Members can become part of the cooperative by purchasing shares, though the amount of shares they hold do not affect the weight of their vote. So we want to keep that in mind about the cooperative. So next I want to talk about the C Corp. This is a corporation as well. It's a legal entity that is separate from its owners, and the corporations can make a profit, be taxed, and can be held legally liable. Corporations offer the strongest protection to its owners from personal liability, but the cost to form a corporation is much higher than other structures, and corporations also require more extensive record keeping, operational processes, and reporting. So unlike sole proprietorships, partnerships, and LLCs, corporations pay income tax on their profits. And in some cases, corporate profits are taxed twice. So first, when the company makes a profit, and again, when dividends are paid to shareholders on their personal tax returns. So corporations have a completely independent life, separate from its shareholders. If a shareholder leaves the company or sells his or her shares, the C Corp can continue doing business relatively undisturbed. Corporations have an advantage when it comes to raising capital because they can raise funds through the sale of stock, which can also benefit, be beneficial in terms of attracting employees. That can be often part of the offer. And corporations can be a good choice for medium or higher risk businesses, those that need to raise money, and businesses that plan to go public or eventually be sold. Next, I think it's really important to hit on S Corps as well as B Corps and what those are. An S Corp is a really special type of corporation that's designed to avoid double taxation drawback of a regular C Corp. S Corps allow profits and some losses to be passed through directly to owners' personal income without ever being subject to corporate tax returns. So not all states allow for S Corps equally, but most recognize them the same way the federal government does. Sorry. Does someone have a question? I thought I heard some noise. So some states, some state that
it's 7 o'clock.
That tax S Corps on profits above a specified limit, and other states don't recognize the S Corp election at all and simply treat the businesses as a C Corp. So there's definitely some variation, among the states. S Corps can be a good choice for businesses that would otherwise be a C Corp but meet the criteria to file as an S Corp. And they really have an independent life, just like the C Corp. If a shareholder leaves the company or sells his or her shares, the S Corp can then continue doing business relatively undisturbed. And there are some special limits on that S Corp. So you really want to check the IRS website for eligibility requirements, and you'll still have to follow the strict filing and operational processes of a C Corp. So that's just a little bit of background there. A B Corp, this is really a benefit corporation, sometimes otherwise B Corp, known as B Corp. It's a for-profit corporation recognized by a majority of U.S. states, and it's different from a C Corp in purpose, accountability, and in transparency, but different in how they're taxed. B Corps are driven by both mission and profit, and the shareholders hold the company accountable to produce some sort of public benefit, and in addition to also a financial profit. Some states require B Corps to submit annual benefit reports that demonstrate their contribution to the public good. And there are several third-party B Corp certification services, but none of them are required for a company to be legally considered a B Corp in a state where the legal status is available. I just wanted to touch upon closed corporations as well as nonprofits, and then I'll step away from this very definitional, what are the different types of businesses that you can go for. So this closed corporations resemble a B Corp, but have less traditional corporate structure. They shed many formalities that typically govern corporations and apply to smaller companies. State rules vary, but shares are usually barred from public trading. And closed corporations can be run by a small group of shareholders without a board of directors. Nonprofit corporations are organized to do charity, education, religious, literary, or scientific work. Because their work benefits the public, nonprofits can receive tax-exempt status, meaning they don't pay state or federal income taxes on any profits it makes. Nonprofits must file with the IRS to get tax exemption, a really different process for registering with their state. Nonprofits need to really follow organizational rules, very similar to a regular C Corp. And they also need to follow special rules about what they do with any profits they earn. So they can't just distribute profits to members or political campaigns. So a reference to the section of the Internal Revenue Code is the 501c3 corporation, which nonprofits are often referred to. And it's obviously most commonly used to grant tax exempt status. All right, well, let's get into intellectual property. And, you know, I think this is just an absolutely critical part of understanding how to really launch your idea, concept, and get your business off the ground. It's to understand what you can protect, how you can protect, so people do not steal your work. And you know, I think one of the tragedies of good people like you all, you know, is that sometimes we don't realize that there can be people out there that when they see an opportunity and they see like a great concept, great, you know, business that's launched, and they're like, well, wait, how can I take advantage of that? There are actually people that are out there that do that, and we do see that. There are issues with piracy, you know, and if you're not properly protecting your work, your intellectual property is not protected. And this can be causing huge problems. I've had clients that have come to us and it's too late. They didn't do the proper protections. And the next thing they know, they're embroiled in litigation and they can't even continue with running their brand because someone has actually copied their work and there's piracy and they can't stop them. So they have nothing they can do other than try, you know, obviously do whatever they can, but at the same time, it's an uphill battle. So you want to think about, what can I do at the beginning? What can I do from the start to avoid problems down the road? And that is smooth entrepreneurship right there. Not all things are you going to be able to anticipate, but attending important informational sessions like this, I think, are really key, so that you have all the tools in your toolbox and your special cards in your card game that are in the back pocket to pull out. You're ready to go. So I will say that, you know, you really want to use caution when registering a business, like using LegalZoom, for example, or other online services, because they often do not guide you on how to do all the accompanying corporate documents like operating agreements, resolutions, and, you know, in seeking legal advice. So especially with, you know, when it comes to intellectual property. So let's start off with what intellectual property is. So it's a big umbrella, and part of that includes copyright. Copyright is a form of protection provided by the laws of the United States. It's under Title 17 U.S. Code to the authors of original works of authorship. So copyright protects writing. It needs to be written. Just think of that. It can't just be an idea that's just out there in the ether. It has to be written. So writing, pictures, music, art, and other forms of intellectual works, screenplays, scripts, photographs, recorded music, plays, films, sheet music, artistic works, essays, books, written materials, marketing materials, written down. white papers. Even you can actually even include website content. So copyright will protect your work from being reused without your permission, and copyright will require that those who want to use your work must contact you prior to use, attribute you, and use your work in a way that you find appropriate. So very, very important part of intellectual property, and I really need you to make note of as I then move into patents. So a patent, very important quote here. A patent for an invention is the grant of a property right to the inventor. So patents generally last for 20 years from when the inventor patents the invention. And the US government's designation of what constitutes an invention is relatively open-ended, but understood to protect people who invent or discover any new and useful process, machine, manufacture, or a composition of matter, or really any new and useful improvement thereof that may obtain a patent. So business owners or inventors are able to patent new methods of production, manufacturing, and new products to protect themselves from competitors eager to then capitalize on the idea. There is always the risk of your competitors reverse engineering your idea in an effort to sidestep your invention approach to the product. And so conceptualizing alternatives to your concept and patenting these alternative ideas could be beneficial to you in the long run and better protect your intellectual property. Let's move into trademark then. Trademark really protects goodwill related to a mark and its usefulness as a source identifier. And they could be words, phrases, designs, colors, scents, or sounds. It's limited in scope to the goods and services that they are used with. Very important concept there for trademarks. And I apologize, I'm moving through all this very quickly, but typically, for example, if you were in law school, you would be spending many, many weeks studying what trademarks are. But I'm just giving you a very broad information that I hope is helpful. So if you do have a lot of questions that are coming up in your mind, we're going to have a Q&A period after this. But I always find that the corporate business formation, IP matters. These things are usually tied to very specific circumstances and facts that you're facing in your situation. So, we do free consultations at the firm and are so happy to, sit down and talk about what you might be experiencing on a one-on-one basis and help to answer all your questions. So I really encourage you to write everything down that you're thinking as we're going through the presentation and do a consultation because we'd be so happy to help. So trademark rights may arise through use of a trademark, but will be limited in scope. Federally registered trademarks offer nationwide protection for 10 years and can be renewed for any number of terms. So this could be, trademarks could be words, phrases, logos, taglines, slogans, graphics, images, pictures, colors, and other brand identifiers. These are all things that can be trademarked. Also band names, artist names, synonyms, and so much more. So I would also want to note to you that federal and state registrations are available, and the federal gives the greatest scope of protection across the whole country. And a good trademark attorney can help you then choose your company name and product names to ensure that the trademark strength is there and to avoid infringing marks of others. And yes, a renewal of the trademark is required, and any lapse of the renewal could absolutely be harmful to your work or company and produce even litigation, depending on the circumstances you're facing. So I would be doing the searches, and I would definitely be doing it with the legal team behind you, and we'd be so happy to help. So trade secrets. Those are usually confidential information that gives your business a competitive edge within the marketplace. It can be in the form of product materials, ingredients, distribution methods, sales methods, consumer information, demographics, marketing strategies, vendors, client lists, production processes. The most common way to protect your trademark secret is in the form of a non-disclosure agreement. So, one second. With your employees. So a non-disclosure agreement with your employees. And it's important to define certain relevant information as trademark secrets in employee contracts as well, that we want to be taking that in consideration. So next off, I want to talk about business issues. Business issues that are come up as we're starting up our businesses and getting our IP organized, and we want to be thinking about licensing and trademarks. So licensing is one of the most common legal issues that small business entrepreneurs face. And because it follows your local government's requirements for business licensing, you must do that. And the cost of a license may vary depending on where you operate, but the need to have one remains constant throughout the country. If you have any questions about this, you really want to consult your attorney, who can then help you look at the local government licensing agency rules. And also often we have to bring in an accountant into the picture as well. And you really want to do plenty of research ahead of naming or renaming your business or launching any new products or services. Other businesses may already even own that trademark, and you might not even realize it at first. So infringing on someone else's trademark is really legal hot water. So even if that infringement was an honest mistake and you had no pre-existing intent. And I've seen that before. And I've seen that before, I will tell you, with fashion designers, actually. And it can get quite sticky, especially if you've already launched your your season for your season and your show and your branding and all of that. So and already put the money down. So shareholders agreement. If your business has more than one shareholder, an agreement is strongly encouraged. If no agreement exists, legal battles may and are likely to follow. Don't leave any gray area when it comes to who gets what. The agreement should be drafted, or at the very least overseen by a lawyer with experience in those matters. And then, you really want to be thinking also about proper classification and classifying employees correctly as full-time, part-time, or independent contractors. That will help then avoid issues with the Department of Labor. Yes, the Department of Labor is definitely active when people file claims. And as an entrepreneur, if you're doing things the right way, you should be able to avoid a lot of that in terms of just strategic classifications of your employees. Very, very important. And I think, I would also want to mention that the misclassification of employee as an independent contractor is a really big problem. And it can impact your workers, employers, and really the entire economy when you go down that road. Before you classify someone as an independent contractor, be sure to read the DOL guidelines, Department of Labor guidelines, and contact the Department of Labor in the state that you'll be conducting business. Employee management. Employee termination can happen for many, many reasons. You can lessen your chances of legal repercussions if you take the right precautions before terminating anyone. So you really want to spell out the terms of employment in an employee manual and document disciplinary actions involving the employee. And really make sure your overtime rules are clear and that you approve all overtime in advance. Not only will this then provide you with a helpful financial control, it could then save you also potential legal trouble. And absolutely, when in doubt, you always want to be consulting with your attorney. So I have just given out a lot of information there. So at this point, I'm going to step back and see how I can help in terms of answering any questions that might be coming up for people, as we covered quite a bit of ground.
Sure. Thank you, Lorraine. So we can open the chat box if you guys want to have type your questions, or later in the Q&A, you can also we can call you up on stage. Back to you, Lorraine.
Okay, sure. Oh, I see. I'm trying to look through the to see where I see the questions coming up.
We don't have a question yet.
I guess not. Okay. Yeah, so I guess maybe I'll continue until it, oh, here we go. Do you recommend that small business owners do a trademark licensing for their logos? You really want to protect your logo. Absolutely. I've seen this come up, and without a doubt, yes. So please do so. And I would, just like I did mention the legal Zoom, and I mentioned all of that because I think people it can play it kind of fast and loose at the beginning and setting things up. Obviously, some people may have smaller budgets, they may not have raised funds, and whatnot. But truly, to avoid trouble down the line, set up these necessary protections, get things in order. Yeah. Any other questions right now?
Yeah, it's hard for me to type. Can I just say it?
Yeah, please.
So I have we transitioned from a sole proprietor to an S corp, and I honestly agree with you. To make sure that the T's are dotted out and all that figured out before you transition, because I missed an $800 payment on my first year as a corporation, and now I'm like working with my accountant to fix all that. So when a small business owner is transitioning from a sole proprietorship to a corporation, do you recommend that, or should we just have like stay with an LLC, much simpler if it's just a small business?
So in determining what type of formation you should be going for, you also want to be taking into consideration the tax side. So it's never just we're just looking at it from the business law perspective, because there are all kinds of tax implications given whatever your circumstances. So you want to be setting up your your A team. I always call it your A team includes your lawyers and your accountants. So I would say that that is going to be likely very much determined. So the commentary that your corporate attorney would provide or your business law attorney would provide would be in tandem very much with what your accountant would say based on your circumstances. So, but definitely I think most people tend to start off with sole proprietorship, and then many tend to move to limited liability as they're growing. But again, the circumstances can be different, especially if you have partners. And what can be especially interesting when you have partners is when you go about drawing up the operations agreement and deciding on how things are going to be divvied up and how voting is going to occur and all of that. So decision making. Yeah, so I would maybe that's good for a consultation for your question, and feel free to have your accountant on the line too, so we can dive in.
All right, thank you, Lorraine.
Absolutely. Okay, so I see people are jumping in. Thank you for that, Annie. Okay, I don't think it's really questions, more kind of statements there. All right, well, I think maybe I'll go through the last set of slides as people are trying to think of other questions to ask. Immigration, I'm going to bring up immigration because I do a ton of immigration work. I'm first and foremost an immigration lawyer, and I help people from all around the world. I've done wonderful work with those from the Philippines coming to the US, getting set up, obviously doing the business law side, but also the visa sides too. And sometimes that has to be done simultaneously, or the immigration first and then the actual business side of it. So, and you don't want to be, if you are someone who does not yet have citizenship or a green card or a visa yet, you want to be thinking about what types of potentially investor visas might work, like an L1 visa, for example, if you already have business operations in your home country and then you're going to set up in the States. So there are many different types of visas that can be chosen when you're looking to when you're an immigrant, you're also looking to set up a business, and some people are like, oh, I'm going to come as a visitor, I'm going to check it out. We have to be so careful about the borders, because they're just looking for people, unfortunately, that are entrepreneurial and might be like super eager and put on their LinkedIn, I'm already living in Los Angeles, when they don't even have anything past like a visitor visa, and that can be very, very fatal at the border, because they can just absolutely take away your they can take away your visa from you on the spot if they suspect that you're working prior to actually getting things set up. So really you want to be in that conversation with your business lawyer, accountant, your A team, if you also happen not to be a citizen here or a green card holder. And there's also that immigration question. You want to be including also the immigration council. Now, if you're running like a medium sized or larger size company and you're thinking about the strategic people that you're going to have in your organization, immigration is a major HR strategy, and any growing business, I want to say, especially in Los Angeles, which is so multicultural. There's a lot of work in healthcare on this. There's healthcare professionals coming from the Philippines, coming from Southeast Asia. So we really want to be, thinking about, first of all, am I I-9 compliant for my organization? Is everyone in the appropriate visa status? Or if I'm starting out and I'm thinking about what my organizational structure is going to look like, who is going to be reporting to whom, and what are those, what are the various titles, and do people that, don't have status here, do they have the appropriate visa? So you want to be thinking of that too. I think I see a question here. As a small business owner, hi Roy, is there a threshold in income? Is there a threshold in income in order to sponsor or someone from the Philippines? So business income, got it. Okay, great question. So there are different types of visas in order to bring people over. If you're going to do H-1B, and you're going to do H-2B, which is very, very popular with the seasonal workers, or if you're going to bring people that are degree professionals that are going to come in to do a degree type job in the States, there is a threshold. It depends on what the job title is and the description. So if you actually give us what you're thinking about, then we can go and look to see what that threshold is and let you know what that is, so you have an idea of how much money you need to have in your business in order to cover them for like a visa lottery, and they might get picked for H-1B, or as a seasonal worker, it might work out for them to come in on H-2B. So yes, for that. For L1 intracorporate, there is also a expected amount, but it's not as rigid as the H-1B. As an O1 sponsor, extraordinary ability people, so there's so many different types of visa, there actually isn't a threshold. It's much more lenient. So different types of visas can be much, much more lenient. And I will also say that I have seen some very, very savvy business entrepreneurs who actually decide to get multiple passports, believe it or not, so that they can further, avail themselves of different types of visas that they can get and benefit for their team. So I've also seen that. And when it comes to sponsoring, like, a U.S. citizen or a permanent resident, for, on the derivative side, typically you have to have an annual income that is at least 125% of the federal poverty line. So if it's on derivative side, you want to be thinking of that. And I just listed out here a number of different visa types that people don't even think about. A lot of people think about, okay, well, you're thinking of sponsoring teachers here. So teachers, you could have an O1A as a teacher. You could have an exceptional, extraordinary teacher that you're bringing into the country, or you could have an H-1B, or you could have an H-2B for a seasonal worker as well, coming in. What would be more probably commonly seen, I would say, would be more the H-1B category for degree professional that's coming in to do a degree type job. But I've done coaches, teachers, mentors as O1As too. I file about 2,000 O1As a year. And, H-1Bs was a lot more, obviously more, you can you file 5,000, 10,000 as a firm, actually. They only accept 65,000 a year and an extra 20,000 for those with master's degrees. And it's really important that we're talking about it right now, as we're on the cusp of September right now, because the window to get all your H-1B applications in a row is for April 1st, and people tend to start that process actually now. But do not underestimate the power of the H-2B, and you can really help to outfit your organization with the H-2B. And I feel like I could just talk about the H-2B for like 2 or 3 weeks with you all, but it's a very people don't think about that one, that you may not need these people all year round. If you can take some breaks in the year, you can actually bring in labor very easily into the country, and it can benefit you at also tends to be quite a good rate as well. So something to talk about. Annie has a question. Is there a way that I won't go crazy petitioning performing artists, because it has happened that we submitted the same package which got approved for P and O visas the year before, then the next year we need more evidence, which caused delay and even the possibility of not arriving at all? So my answer to that is, how many P's and O's does your attorney file? Because if you file a certain amount and you're a member of a very special group called the ACES committee, which we are members of, you can get tapped into a lot of the patterns that happen with the processing. And there definitely is an ebb and a flow, and you can often premeditate sometimes what's coming down, especially if you can identify the officer number that's coming through for the application. There's just certain officers' numbers that you just want to avoid completely. And if you get that number, you're going to want to refile the case completely. There's just, with the patterns that we see, you can mitigate a lot of questions by just inserting into the packets that are filed more poignant information that's hitting on some of the criteria that's like making the officers especially the officers are especially interested at that time with. So, and it changes a lot, especially with extraordinary ability. So, if with the O visa, you're looking at 6 criteria. For the P visa, very similar criteria as well, but often used for groups as opposed to just individuals coming in. So I would say that there is a way to help to kind of premeditate and be more prepared. So I would think about that too. And also I would say P3s, do not underestimate the cultural exchange group too. So cultural, looking at bringing in groups or those that have cultural distinction to their work, it can make it much easier, like ethnic folk music, for example, artistic performances or art forms, something with Filipino culture. Your attorney should try to get creative. So I think I see some questions, but not a lot. So you pay again. Yeah. So for some time, this happens. So for the refiles, I would say this happens in like 1 to 2%, but sometimes it happens, and it's better not to argue with that officer. You're just going to get, a bad RFE and a denial, and then discourage the client. It's sometimes better to just refile the case, but majority of the time, you can effectively answer the RFE, or just try to avoid RFEs altogether by just knowing the patterns at the officer's particular service centers as well, whether you're filing in California or you're filing in Vermont. Very important distinction as to, so I think, the jurisdiction does matter. And there are ways to help yourself get to the better jurisdiction. So I see another question. What are your recommended initial steps for someone who's considering opening a manpower agency here in the US, bringing in workers from the Philippines? Fantastic question. So I would say that first step is, well, so I guess what would be the nature of so is it this talent management? Is this which industry is this going to be in, I guess is my question. So I would do, first of all, you got to get set up properly as an agency. You got to do all of that. There's just quite a few steps there, so that's got to be done in the front end. Then you want to be getting your recruitment process down, and there are wonderful recruiters out there, and it's good to have those relationships, as well as I would say that you if depending on, it really matters that you have a presence here as well as you have good trustworthy presence, say for example in Manila, and the timing, I know because I run a team in Southeast Asia as well, so we are 58 people, but almost 30 of us are actually in Southeast Asia. So you also need to be thinking about the time zones and when you're actually connecting with your team, as with the recruiters, with the resumes that are hitting you, and as you are scoping talent to then bring them here. So you want to be thinking about visas. You want to be having a very fast response with your counsel on like, what about this candidate? What about this candidate? And as well as, I'm going to say some due diligence on their background. That's super important as well. And thinking about timings, as well as, this is a big one, consular relationships. So important for nurses and teachers and skilled workers to bring them in. It's not just about getting the actual visa processed and the I-797 notice done. It's also about good relationships with the consular officials to be able to get the stamp and the passport and be able to bring them in. You could be setting up your agency. You could do all that corporate. You could do your IP. You could get the logo down. You could do all of that, and then still be unsuccessful, and still be a great success, everything. But then if you have visa problems, that is not fun. So so you want to be looking at your vetting and your screening, and there should be a constant dialogue there in terms of that recruiting process. So and I want to say on the consular relationship side, what has won the day, because Southeast Asia has gotten killed during the pandemic, it's been really hard, is third country national posts and relationships with those. I've been working a lot through Mexico. I've brought in literally hundreds of people through Mexico like this, boom, boom, boom. So literally coming from Southeast Asia, doing the stuff I need to with USCIS, and then bringing people through Mexico in. It's been a deal changer for many businesses that weren't able to get movement at the consulates in their home countries. And there are certain supervisors who have discretionary authority to allow this, but you've got to be able to vet it, and you've got to have the relationship. So, so how do you select or find the right HR company for small to mid-sized companies? There are so many new HR companies. Oh my gosh, I know, that is so true. Well, I think that, obviously, I think that you should look at the certifications that HR company has and what business associations that they are have a relationship with. And depending on how big your company is, you might there are very cost-effective ways of handling HR, and I think maybe it would be best to have a one-on-one and talk a little bit about the circumstances that you're in, so I can give some tips as well. I know even from my own experience, you don't necessarily have to hire an in-house HR person. It can be really nice for your organization, but not everybody has the funds to do that. But there are other very good options, and I know that there's a lot of new companies popping up, and that's true. And so I think referral is a good idea, but also looking at the certifications and the association membership as well. So background, ask for references, ask for industry, ask for a plan of action. Yes, exactly. So we want to be doing that, background looking, asking for references, and doing all kinds of due diligence as well. Very important. I hope I have not thrown out too much information at you, but I hope I've given you just enough to, sort of moisten the palate for more great conversations, whether that's a consultation or just connecting with our office. We want to know you. We are very, very excited about joining your chamber, and we're rolling up our sleeves, and we're going to help you guys be even more awesome than you already are. So think of us as a part of your A team and ready to go to work. So yeah, thank you.
Wonderful.
Is that
Thank
contact information?
you so much, Lorraine. That was amazing. Yeah, lot of
Awesome, Lorraine. Awesome.
Thank you.
information. So thank you so much. So this is Lorraine's contact information. She is a wonderful corporate member of the Filipino American Chamber of Commerce. So feel free to connect with her. Again, this is, a snippet. She can talk about this for hours and weeks. We won't have enough time, but we respect everyone's time. We're a little bit overtime here, but we will share the recording for those who have missed the beginning part, and then to kind of review all of this information that Lorraine has shared. So I'm gonna stop share, and will do our picture here. So if you could please turn on your cameras real quick. This is a FACC GLA tradition.
Hey.
Photos. Person.
Sounds good.
Person. So I want to see your beautiful faces. Wonderful. Okay, so I'm going to do a screenshot here. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Excellent. And then real quick, one of the things that we like to do here at our chamber is we have some games. So if you paid attention to Lorraine's presentation, you get a free landing page courtesy of Tycoon Land. So go ahead, Miko.
Yes. Thanks, Lois. Can we have the slide up, please? And thank you, Lorraine, for your talk.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor.
All right. So once again, our trivia prize will be your business landing page on tycoonlands.com. So whoever gets the question and answers the question by typing it in the chat first will get the prize. So question is, what are the 3 types, name 3 types of corporations that Lorraine mentioned in the presentation?
That's easy. The first one to type. Okay, Lalaine.
I think Lalaine got it. I gave 4 as well. Lalaine from Bodyguard.
Excellent.
Excellent. Congratulations, Lalaine. We'll reach out to you for more details. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Elaine. And thanks everyone for hanging in there. You will receive an email with your feedback. Would love to hear from you. What are your thoughts about this webinar? And then if you'd like to provide your testimonial, we'd love to share it to National ACE. So we might want to make sure that these webinars are helpful to you all. And stay in touch with us. Scan this QR code if you want to keep in touch with our chamber, and we would love to see you at our next event. So our next webinar is September 6th. Thanks so much everyone for joining.